Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It takes place in an alternate version of 2021 where humans have colonized the moon. Orbiting the big rock are two astronauts and their beefed-out lunar module salvaging broken satellites from space. The captain Kemp puts on his space suit with a power glove and a hazard light located on the rear where he can't see it. It's his turn to spacewalk over and collect the satellite, which looks much larger from a distance but is only about the size of a trash can, so he just sticks it under his arm. Returning to the creatively named spaceship the Moon 02, we meet the encouraging engineer Korminski and his glorious mustache. He's the Chewie to Kemp's Han Solo and engineers them down to Moon City, which was built around Neil Armstrong's original landing spot, and there's the memorial to prove it. The pair pass through a space terminal for immigrants from Earth but get harassed by a customs agent who doesn't like the cut of their jibs. Another guy tells him to piss off because he wants to talk to Kemp in private, so Korminski is left to sell the satellite by himself for no less than 12,000 moon dollars. During their conversation, his partner takes a shower and turns down the privacy-invading space captain's offer to work for the government. On his way out, the peeper runs into an earthling dressed like a pickle named Clementine who's come to ask for Kemp's help. She's directed to the showers and sees Kemp balls out, but then still tries to have a conversation because the moon seems to be a privacy-free zone. Kemp tells this zucchini to get in or get out, but she runs away embarrassed, so the captain dries it off and puts it away. He then splits the share from the trip with his partner and boards the moon train to the other side of the moon base with his moon money. The attendant is a space groupie who throws herself at Kemp because he was the first man to ever walk on Mars. However, since Clem is on the train and already seen him naked, he wants to hear her proposition instead. She's looking for her brother who's traveling here from the far side of the moon, but Kemp's never heard of him and says it's dangerous out them their parts. Since it's her first time in space, he tells Clem to look out the front window as they're approaching the terminal so that he can check out the rear. Upon arriving at Space Mountain, Kemp gives her a window tour of the moon colony while Clementine removes her cone of shame and we never see it again. An Oompa Loompa says they have no reservations under her brother's name, so Kemp agrees to take her to the far side if he doesn't turn up. He says they'll use a buggy like the one in this conveniently laid out model, but she can't comprehend the distance. To help with that, there's this miniature moon right beside them indicating their current location and even the brothers' mining site. I assumed this was all just to get in this woman's pants, but then Kemp leaves her for a booty call with a vibrant woman he's got waiting in the wings. She sure dresses the part, but Liz is actually a police officer and has to work soon, so she just lets him have it in a different way. Kemp is told that he's grounded until he repairs his ship because it's falling apart and he'll soon blow up like his old friend Otto. Later, Kemp goes down to the space bar where go-go dancers do the no-no dance and drinks are made from distilled rocket fuel. While having a pelvis waved in his face, the captain is approached by the dim-witted henchman Harry, who's got himself a gun. He takes Kemp to a monocled moon millionaire named Hubbard who plays Monopoly with his two slave women and dresses like a Cuban dictator when he travels. When Kemp's brought in, he easily disarms the big oaf but gives him back the gun when noticing there's real scotch involved. Hubbard has summoned him here because he wants him to go up into space and redirect an asteroid into the far side of the moon. His assistant Whitsun says it's filled with 6,000 tons of sapphires, but they need Kemp to make it look like a natural collision so they can make a claim on it. Since he needs the money, the captain takes the job and gets ready for liftoff with Korminski and a cup of delicious moon coffee. Just then, Officer Liz in her thigh-high gun holsters and turtle skull helmet confronts them like, "Didn't I say you're grounded?" Despite the warning, she allows Kemp to go vertical in exchange for going horizontal with her later, and the boys are met by Hubbard. His henchmen will be accompanying us in their colorful spacesuits while hubby stays here with his two melon-headed girlfriends. The crew navigate to the asteroid with Whitsun's laptop because it has more computing power than this entire heap of junk. When they arrive at the giant jewel, they float over on wires and begin attaching thrusters to the surface to guide it towards the moon. The others are all off it when the rockets accelerate, but Kemp barely manages to cut his anchor wire and push himself off it in time. He floats back towards 02 while down at the terminal a rowdy group of miners from the far side show up for drinks. The shopkeepers hide all their valuables while Clem asks her brother's co-workers for any information they know about his disappearance. She sits down for drinks with some unscrupulous characters who say they haven't seen him for months and just came here for the cowgirl dancers. Sometime later, when Kemp returns from his successful mission, the dancers are culturally appropriating the hell out of this thing. The whiskey is still just flavored rocket fuel, and Kemp sits with Clem to say, "I'm rich enough now that I'll help you find your brother." Harry overhears this and reminds Kemp that he doesn't get paid until their mission is complete, so he receives the spinning back moon elbow. He takes it out on some unrelated patron and the whole place erupts into a brawl while the dancers just keep doing their thing. Kemp deactivates the artificial gravity, causing everyone to move at 1/6 their previous speed while people can now be easily thrown around. The dancers just keep flailing around while our power couple make an extremely slow getaway before the big booted fuzz arrive. They fly over to the far side of the moon and Clem even has her own color spacesuit so that Kemp doesn't get her mixed up with himself. They pull up at a colony called Far Side 5 to rent a moon buggy while Korminski waits here with their old friend Smith. He charges them $1,000 moon for this busted up vehicle that he says will get them there, but he can't promise it'll get them back, so not sure how good a friend he is. The pair begin their journey driving along the rough lunar surface in their giant loaf of bread while eating space Chinese takeaway. Clementine says that her father exploded while dynamiting for emeralds, so her brother came out here to follow in his footsteps. When asked why Kemp isn't out exploring something like Jupiter or Uranus, he says that commercial travel is where all the money's at now. As they reach the mine, they suit up in a more plasticky version of their spacesuits, but the colors are still the same to avoid any confusion. While looking around, they find an abandoned buggy and rich nickel deposits, so they can safely say that something bad happened here. Clementine finds her brother, so excitedly rushes over to him but finds he's been dead for some time and probably isn't going to recover. Since he isn't using his remaining oxygen tank, Kemp takes it and they begin to leave when 3 vibrantly dressed space thugs show up. They open fire on the buggy, but the pair get out and hide behind a large rock without the colorful assassins noticing. The shooters' lack of moon camouflage make them easy targets for Kemp to shoot. Green dead as well as Yellow, who completely deflates. Red tries to run them over with the Skeleton Brothers buggy and almost chops up Kemp with the giant beard trimmer on the front. But this guy risks his life with the play dead maneuver, and as Red gets out to collect his skull trophy, Kemp shoots his oxygen. Trying to keep him alive for information, he replaces it with the brothers' tank, but it turns out to be filled with cyanide, so I don't think Red will make it. At least now they have a moon buggy with the hedge trimmer attachment, so Kemp and Clem begin their journey back to the Far Side base. It's scorching hot outside and Kemp can't find the button to turn on the cooling system, so the two must take off their clothes to survive. Clementine brought along her space bikini and says that if it gets any hotter than this, she's going to have to get out her moons. She also says that she was only a schoolgirl when the captain was flying missions to Mars, reminding Kemp that he's old. Suddenly the vehicle overheats from all the sexual tension, so they put on their moon suits and take cover in a crack while it explodes. They aren't far from the colony, so walk the rest of the way and find Liz waiting to arrest them for a slew of moon violations. She doesn't believe Kemp's story about Power Rangers killing Clem's brother until he confronts Smith to spill the moonbeams. He reveals he poisoned him for Hubbard so they could crash the asteroid into his mining site and claim the riches for themselves. Officer Liz now believes the story when suddenly Hubby and his henchmen arrive and admits to sending the assassins dressed like the Wiggles. He says that he underestimated Kemp, which is exactly what Liz does when she assumes Harry has the hand speed of a clock. Trying to arrest Hubbard, the ogre outdraws Liz and she slowly bleeds out in the arms of the man who got her into this whole mess. Clementine is distraught that her brother died for Sapphires, having just lost her father to emeralds, and her mother is never mentioned. She's also now the leverage Hubbard uses to make Kemp continue working for him as they return to the mining site to prepare for impact. He'll have exclusive rights to both the Sapphires and nickel vein once the thing touches down, because Clementine won't be alive to inherit her brother's claim. They fly up to the asteroid and precisely direct the thing right into the middle of the mining claim while Korminski is handcuffed to a ladder. However, he walks Clem through how to activate the thrusters and she burns Smith alive because nobody thought she was a threat. Kemp then lassos the gun out of Harry's hand, which he could have easily just grabbed, but unfortunately it doesn't work anyway. Korminski pops up with a gun out of nowhere, having somehow escaped the handcuffs, and intelligently shoots dead the biggest threat. While they're distracted watching Harry float away, Kemp forces the rockets to prematurely fire, then leaps off as the asteroid carries Hubbard and Whitsun away. He floats over to the 02 and makes it on board safely, while the men still anchored to the rock head straight towards the surface of the moon. There's nothing left to do but sit back and watch it crash into the ground, making Clementine the richest woman in the universe. Kemp says to Clem that she's more attractive now and flies them back to Moon City as the price of sapphires plummets. And the movie ends.